Welcome back. Chude, how do you see yourself? Are you a journalist? Are you a writer? Are you a public relations practitioner or something else?
Right. I see myself as a storyteller. But I self-identify with the label of journalist.
What is then your take on journalism today, the issues facing the profession, including that of lack of resources to adequately take care of journalists, which leads to the brown envelope syndrome, where people get paid money when they cover events?
I'm always reluctant to blame the victim in any circumstance, and I am of the firm opinion that the Nigerian journalist is a victim in the interplay between media owners, the reading audience, the listening or reading audience, and the advertiser. You know, the advertiser underpays, the media owner overcompensates, and the journalist doesn't gets the shorter end of the stick all the time. In that case, it becomes perfectly understandable, maybe even permissible, maybe, for the journalist to begin to find ways of basic survival.
But how does it becoming understandable and maybe permissible act on the role of the journalist, who is supposed to be the watchdog, the holder, you know, to account of various institutions? What does this do to the actual practice of the profession, which is supposed to play a very important role in nation building?
The consequence is that it distorts it, it bastardizes it, and the consumer, the newsreader, is shortchanged.
Why don't we talk about the more recent story? Our colleague, Nicholas Ibikwe, obviously the expose that he did, or our former colleague, I should call him, Nicholas Ibikwe, the expose he did on TB Joshua, where journalists received brown envelopes, and he received publicity for making that public. You had a very clear opinion about that incident.
Yes, first, I respect what Nicholas did, because it's difficult, almost impossible to do. So I respect it immensely, that he could stare a powerful, not even about the money, a powerful man with money in the eye face and say, no, I'm going to walk away from it. That is what journalism is supposed to be. And so if a society were so lucky to have more Nicholas Ibekwes, our society would be fortunate. But I would understand why people have to break certain rules, because the basic human instinct is to survive.
Do you break those rules? And I ask because in an interview you gave not too long ago, you described Red Media as the communication company that boasts of clients in government, entertainment, oil and gas, finance, telecommunications. So clearly you get paid by these big conglomerates, but you still wear your journalistic hat once in a while.
Once in a while.
Do you face this dilemma?
Oh, well, I don't. It's so that I don't overestimate my own importance. I don't face it majorly because, so for instance, we run WhyNigeria.com, for instance, is run by managing editor Chetan Wanze, who routinely makes editorial decisions without me. So anybody who has ever tried to pitch a story to WhyNigeria or anything knows that they can't speak to me.
But WhyNigeria is owned by your business,
yes, so that's
which also has clients.
So which I said.
So realistically, can you be critical of people who are putting millions into your pocket?
I can, and I have been. Oh, I have. If you notice, I said that my clients have included the Nigerian government, and I have been critical of the Nigerian government.
So you're developing a whole new, if you like, genre of journalism that's not found in the world. There's nowhere in the world where a public relations company would also be running a journalistic arm.
Well,
I haven't heard it.
So the thing is that there is no old school journalism outfit. But everybody from TechCrunch to all these other new school media houses run both corporate sides that conflict directly with the business side. And we do know that this is a debate that everybody from the Financial Times to the Washington Post is having presently. How much influence should the business side of a media house have on the news gathering side?
No, but we're not talking about, you know, the traditional conflict, which is where you have people scouting for advertising and versus how advertising will influence editorial. We're now talking about people who actively work to shape the public relation perception of an organization or a government, then saying, we are also able to hold this government to account when they've been paid money to actually make that government look good?
So I'll give 3 answers to that. The first answer is that I do not agree that it is not the traditional. I agree, I am of the firm conviction that it is an expansion of the traditional conversation, which is how far can your business decisions for corporates affect the kind of news that you tell.
Let me ask you, if you have a client and your job is to manage that client's public relations image outside, and that client is involved in a big scandal, you know, and I'm not talking here just government, maybe a corporate organization, there's issues around governance, for example, what do you do?
What do I do if the person is my client?
Yes.
Right, and then I have to report on it.
Well, you're reporting on it, but you also want to do the job of projecting the image.
Yeah, but that is assuming that I'm the one making decisions as to what is news on the
but
platforms.
the two organizations belong to the same group.
They belong to the same group, but they
Yes.
are run independently. They are run independently. So it's the best that can be done. You know, they are run independently, and both chief executives understand that the one doesn't affect the decision of the other.
What about the client? Does the client understand that
they
can give you 5 million today and tomorrow you are online and you are basically criticizing them?
Well, not me.
No, but your company is online criticizing
them. Most likely. First, the client doesn't understand, and the client has a right not to understand. The client has a right to want to project its image to the market. If a client could get away with having nobody report a story, it is a legitimate desire. And at some point, I have lost clients for that fact. And I do not mind it. I feel like it's a consequence of the kind of business model that we are building. And because you cannot take risks and not expect to pay some consequence.
I heard a story. Former Aviation Minister Stella Odua, at the beginning of her troubles, apparently before she was sacked, I understand that your company approached her through a series of emails to ask to do PR work for her. And apparently she turned you down. Not too long after that, Why Naija, along with your other outfits, joined the rest of the media in kind of gleefully reporting all her issues. Is this true?
No, that's news to my ears. That's news to my ears.
Absolutely. So why do you think stories like this will make the rounds about you and your business?
Well, I'm hearing it for the first time, so I don't know that it made the rounds. I do know that in December I was in the presidential villa for the Future Awards. I was hosted to commemorate our movement from local awards to an international award, and Mrs. Stella Odua was in the building. You know, I think there was some chatter on social media. What is this woman who is accused of a particular indiscretion doing at the Future Awards? So it is possible that such linkages can lead to those kinds of conversations. I know that, I was in the offices of Sahara Reporters in DC, in New York, for my book tour. And then I had a long radio conversation with Showare. And I remember that Sahara Reporters was the same organization that reported very incorrectly after the youth launch in 2000, that I took money that I didn't even know was being shared. So again, it's a consequence of the kind of thing that I do. There is an option that I have, which is to focus solely on running a communication business. It's an option that I have chosen not to have. There's another option that I have, which is to run a media business and not ventilate my personal opinion. That's not an option that I have taken. The option that I have taken is to run a business and still speak publicly and clearly about what I believe in. That comes with consequences. That comes with blowback. That comes sometimes with confusion. People are confused about where you stand.
Is your model, do you think, the future for the Nigerian journalist who needs to be able to make money while still being able to do their job?
I think it's the future for the media across the world.
And you have no doubt in your mind that the role of the media doesn't get damaged by the fact that corporates increasingly are the ones putting money into the media. And so that role of being the public, protector versus the mouthpiece for money bags, you don't
Let me
see
use
any
an
problem
example.
there.
There is no big issue in Nigeria.
And the quality, obviously, also of the reporting.
So let me make it practical. There is no big issue in Nigeria any, from Sanusi to gay rights to Farouk Lawan to Occupy Nigeria, bring back our girls, that whynigeria.com hasn't spoken firmly and clearly about. So if the question was, is whatever your sister company is doing affecting this, the answer is in the work that we present. So for those who are afraid of the future of journalism, we say, look at this model. It works, and it will stumble once or twice. But everybody from the New York Times to the Wall Street Journal has stumbled. Then you stumble, then you learn what to do and what not to do, then you get better.
It's time for a break. When we return, we get personal and ask what motivates Mr. Jideonwo.
You may wonder why I switched to layer milk. Well, I got hooked after my fitness trainer told me about the good stuff inside. You should try it.
Exercise and making good nutrition decisions like drinking calcium-enriched loyal milk every day is vital because it helps you nourish your bones and body so that you can live a more active life every day.
That's why I encourage my clients and ensure that my family gets their loyal milk too.
So, make that switch to calcium-fortified loyal milk because it's what's inside that matters.